ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between. Welcome to Chapter 4 of Tales of Tyrasia. Joining me today is Mr. Green, who is playing Grelkrova, the Custodian Kragnova Barbarian.
Hey, everybody.
Next up we have Gil, the Fallen Fae Druid, played by Stark Draws.
Hi.
Thirdly, we have Ninsala Yaznala Ostirosh, the Droshi Ervan Ranger, played by Ikuni Patata.
Hello.
And finally, the tree dad of the group, we have Captain Heretic, who is playing Sir Alan Thorne, a Cephadendra Paladin.
Howdy.
And without further ado, we are here. How's it going, chat? How is everyone doing? Welcome to Chapter 4. So, the question is, who's going to be doing the recap for this week? What happened in Chapter 3? Do we have volunteers?
If nobody wants to, I'm happy to.
Yeah, that's fine. First come, first serve. Take it away,
I
Greenie.
have the memory of a spoon.
So do I usually.
Span.
The party finally left the village of, I can't remember the name,
Elenil.
Elenil, after staying there for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
They walked to the south to try to get to the monastery that has been attacking for a while. We ran into a broken down caravan on the way and somebody who looked in need of aid. We looked around the area, tried to help them out, and it turns out they were a dirty pickpocket. We kind of had too much fun with this pickpocket, but we ended up getting the money back. We continued on our adventure to the south and ran into a large settlement filled with green emerald gemstone Eva. And I'm terrible at remembering.
Rosati.
The Rosati Eva.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like all of the party were welcome here except for Grelkrova. But once we got inside, it seemed like there was a state of panic due to assassinations in the city. And after some trial and error, the entire party managed to get into the settlement without too much fuss. And then we heard a scream coming from the canopy. And Gil flew up, leaving Fluffy. And there was an Ervan girl, I believe, on the edge of the edge of the sort of the walkway up there, with a knife to her throat and another hooded, shadowed figure once again. Our resident QT Faye, Gil, attempted to knock the dagger out of the assailant's hands, but ended up failing, and her throat was slit and pushed off of the walkway.
So it was a nice, happy ending to Chapter 3. And now we are going to pick up from there, because I know everyone is dying to know what happens from here. I thought that was like the biggest cliffhanger we've done so far. So, Chapter 4 begins. So that we can get an idea of where everyone is, first of all, the party has just entered the settlement of Tyrasia, which is a settlement. They regard them as settlements. They never really call them towns, the settlement of Tyrasia is essentially like a town. There's like a 2,000 to 3,000 denizens living there, mostly Rizadi Eva, a few Fisali Eva, and also the Sepha. Both Dendra and Chlora are fairly common here. It's a big change of pace from Elenil, because in Elenil there were very, very few. In fact, I don't think the party ever stumbled across any Sepha while they were there. But in Tyrasia there are definitely a lot more. I mean, just from the get-go, as soon as they arrived in Tyrasia, Sir Alan could already see his own kin wandering around. Even some fellow Dendra were wandering around the forest floor. So a lot more welcoming sight for him, not necessarily for Graal, who was immediately met with aggression. Whether you can dictate that as rightfully so, that's up to your interpretation of Graal and what he deserves, or what rather his people deserve. So basically the party arrived, and Graal and Sir Alan decided to stay on the forest floor due to height or weight worries. The settlement of Tyrasia is a very vertical settlement or town. It's divided up into 4 districts. The districts are essentially the floors. Each floor is about 10 feet high. So the top floor or district, the residential district, is right at the tippy top, about 40 feet off the floor. And as Sir Alan and Graal were left behind in the north of the settlement, Ninsala and Gil decided to head up to the nearest tavern, which is on the second floor, or the I can't remember what I had listed down. The second floor is the entertainment district, where the taverns are usually located. They, just before they were about to open the door to enter the tavern, Gil and Ninsala, I don't know how audible it was for Graal and Sir Alan, but it was definitely audible for Ninsala and Gil. They heard a scream from the canopy, and Gil's immediate reaction was to Fey Warp the other side of the tavern, about 30 feet forwards, about 10 feet up, and sees as Mr. Green described. And due to a failed roll, whiffed his... Was it Thorn Whip? Was that what it was, Kian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whiffed the Thorn Whip, and for the first time failed a roll this whole campaign. Just when it really, really mattered. It was a pretty...
Just rub it in.
Yeah,
Just rub it in.
it's pretty unfortunate timing to get your first fail, but sadly, this Visali Evergirl, her throat was slit. This black substance that the so-called blackened eye that they use on their face to kind of like magically mask their eyes. It was wiped across her right eye. It wasn't like a complete chevron. It was just kind of like a mark, almost as if they've like marked a target. It was wiped across her eye. Her neck was slit, and she was pushed off the balcony. And then this female assassin that the party were able to at least hear the voice of bursts in a puff of black fog, just like the ones they've seen before. And this is where we pick up with Gil being absolutely distraught by what has happened, feeling immense guilt that he feels like he was the only one that was able to save her and still failed right when it needed to matter most. That's when he couldn't quite aim true. And as a result, Gil is overwhelmed by this intense guilt and completely blacks out unconscious, plummeting to the floor. Kian, you can now mute.
Great. Bye.
So, Gil, who was about 30 feet up in the air, not experiencing the same effect as gravity as you less immortal races, doesn't quite plummet into a heap, but certainly does drop down gracefully, well, as gracefully as you can do while unconscious, plummets to the floor. And as this happens, Ninsala just happens to wander around the other side of the tavern and sees that Gil basically falls out the sky in a heap on the forest floor. Over to you, party. And I will just say now, so that everyone else isn't confused, Kian is not allowed to speak until Gil is awake. So this is over to you, party, or the rest of the party.
Well, I certainly will run down immediately and see if Gil is or not okay.
Mm-hmm. So, Ninsala rushes down. How do you go down? Are you just gonna dive off the edge to get down as fast as possible, or are you gonna take the walkways down?
I'll take the walkways, but
Okay.
I like dash down, like run real fast.
So, because you went that way, it takes you a little bit longer, and by the time you get down there, you notice there's maybe 3 Ever, or yeah, no, I'd say there's 2 Ever and a Cephaclora, kind of like had broken away from the crowd that was surrounding this poor Evan girl who was assassinated, have broken away and seen another person fall from the sky, realize that it's a Fae, and they're like checking to see if Gil is okay. They don't know him. They just turned around and heard him plummet to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you get there, he's surrounded by 2 or 3 people, a couple of Ever and a Cephaclora. So what are you gonna do now that you're here?
I'll ask if any of those knows like medicine, if they can tell if he's alright.
So like the group of them are like, no, sorry, we're not experienced with medicine or anything. We just rushed over because we didn't see what happened. We just heard we heard him land, and it doesn't look like he landed on his feet.
I'd like to make a medicine check then. I am proficient in medicine, it's just not a lot.
Okay, yeah.
To see if I notice anything.
Okay, sure.
That's 9.
9. He just looks like he's asleep.
Oh.
Or he looks like he's knocked out. Put it that way. Like, he's not really, like, you can see him lightly breathing. That's it.
Can I carry him up to the tavern?
You certainly can. He's very light.
Okay, I'll do that then. I'll pick him up and like.
How are you gonna carry him?
Like his shoulders under one arm, his knees under the other.
Okay, so kind of like a fireman carry, like rescuing someone out of a building kind of thing. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not very heavy. He's like 30 pounds. It's basically like a medium workout, but it's fairly easy to pick him up.
Okay.
But yeah, and you're gonna carry him up to the tavern.
Yeah.
Okay, are you gonna be taking him in, or just taking him up to? Okay.
No, I take him in.
Okay. So the tavern that you were going to be originally heading into is the Woozy Moss Tavern.
Mm-hmm.
Named after the herb or reagent, if you wanted to know that now. So you're gonna rush in, and there's a lot of people in there. They're kind of like all bunched up because they all had the same idea of wanting to seek shelter immediately, and a lot of them didn't really want to rush up to the residential district, especially considering the last assassination just happened from up there. So a lot of them rushed down into the tavern. It's fairly packed. You can't really make out any like particular people. You can't really make out the barkeep or the owner or anything. It's more just like there's a lot of people like panicking inside.
I try to find like a quiet corner somewhere, and maybe put Gil on a bench or table, somewhere where space is.
Okay. Roll for perception to see if you can find somewhere,
Okay.
because it's very packed.
Oh, that's the. Oh my god, the dice doesn't like me today.
You just get any bad rolls out of the way. Yeah, you are frantically looking around, still holding Gil. Can't really see because the webcam box is so small, but you're kind of like you're holding Gil like this, and you're looking around frantically, and in all the panic, you can't see like anywhere, like readily available to put him down. As small as he is, like everyone is kind of like crammed. The seats are full. People aren't necessarily like sitting on the tables, but there's like lots of people surrounding like everywhere. It's just the lucky few have managed to find a seat are sitting down, but it's pretty packed. You can't find anywhere comfortable to rest Gil. There's like some floor space, but then there's the potential of him getting trampled from not being seen by all these people. So yeah, I can tell you from what you rolled, you definitely couldn't find anywhere safe to put him. I was gonna say stow him. Chuck him away in a cupboard. Yeah. And while this is happening, it was far enough away. I would say both Graal and Sir Alan, can you both make hearing perception checks?
Yeah.
I'm just specifying hearing just in case you have anything related to hearing, like Ninsala has hearing proficiency.
7.
7?
That will be a massive, just world-shaking 4.
Right, okay. So, Ninsala, what are you going to do about Gil?
I turn to the next best person and ask if they know where the owner is, where the innkeep is.
So this person is like kind of just as panicked as you are. It's an Ervan male. They look Vian, and he just says to you, I don't know. I don't think I've ever been in this tavern before. It was the first safe place I saw. I usually don't go to Wuzimos.
Okay. I think you might ask someone else.
Okay.
Someone is right.
Okay. Roll a d20. Just straight
11.
up. 11. Okay, so okay, you in your like state of panic, because now Ninsala's starting to get quite panicked because she can't find anyone to help. Everyone is rightfully panicking themselves. They are noticing that you're carrying someone who's unconscious, but they're more concerned for their safety than helping someone else. And it takes you like a good while, like a good 10 minutes go by before you're actually able to like barge through and even find the bar. And you can see that the barman is kind of the barman is kind of like trying to control the situation. Like lots of people are like asking, like, do you have rooms, to stay here or anything? Like they don't really want to leave. They want to stay in the safety of here. They think they're going to be safe inside. and the barman is like just trying to diffuse the situation and notices you, and you're carrying Gil, and he kind of like diverts his attention from all the others, and he says, "Hello, miss. Can I help you? What's wrong with your friend?"
I don't know. He fell from the skies. I don't know if he's hurt or not. I don't think he's much hurt. But
he fell?
Yeah.
Is he injured?
I don't know. I don't think so. But like a place to like lay him down so he can rest would be.
Yes.
Would be good.
Yes, of course. Please come to come behind the bar here. Let me guide you to my room. You can rest your friend down here.
Oh, thank you very much.
And he guides you around the bar, and there's like a door to the side of the bar, like out of view, and a lot of people are getting like louder and louder, like shouting for the barman, and he opens it and he says, "I'm trusting you not to steal anything. Please do not take advantage of this situation. Just please take care of your friend." And he shuts the door.
Thank you.
So there's like no way out of there. There's no window. It's just the door. So he's not really worried because you'd have to go past him anyway if you were to steal something.
Yeah.
But it's a fairly simplistic room, fairly rustic. There's just a bed, bedside table, some candles and a dresser. But yeah, there's like a fairly large bed to rest Gil on if you want to rest on there.
I put Gil on one side of the bed.
Okay.
And take off his bags and put them aside, or like if he has any.
Okay, so cutting back to Graal and Sir Alan, you did not hear any of this because of your failed perception checks. You did not hear any of the commotion that's happened. You may have heard like something in the distance, but you couldn't discern the fact that it was a scream. You just heard like a high-pitched noise in the distance. For all you know, it could have just been a bird, a very loud bird. So this cuts to you. Now you are still in the north of the settlement. What are your plans?
I'd say Graal was mid-conversation with Sir Alan. And I got saddled with Keenlaw here. Can you believe it? This place is...
They seem perfectly nice to me.
Yeah, and Graal kind of like turns around and Keenlaw's just like... And he kind of like looks away from Graal as if to say like, I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
You seem like a perfectly reasonable chap, Kinlaw. How long have you been a guard?
I'd say coming on 5 years now.
Ooh, lovely.
I'm fairly new to the Wardens, at least here.
I believe these ones are known as Wardens, Sir Alan.
Oh, like me and my brethren.
Similar, not as tall or wooden, but yes.
I would assume at this point, we would be trying to go meet up with the others at the tavern, as said before.
Yeah, you can do. When you start wandering though, Kinla would be like, excuse me, Mr. Kragnova, where are you heading?
Graal Krover. Our friends, they went to a nearby tavern as decreed by the High Warden Elodie Ethamea Os Razad. So I was going to go meet up with our friends.
Right, okay. Lead the way. I do not mean to be a bother, Do not worry, I'm not as hotter tempered than my captain. However, I still need to know where you are going. Lead the way, I shall shadow you.
Keenlaw, you're a good man. If I may I ask, how did the High Warden get these feelings to the Kragnova?
She doesn't like to divulge much into her past, but she did used to be a sailor.
Grawl sighs heavily. I see how these feelings would have been acquired, you may say.
She has her reasons. She hasn't spoken about them, but you know your people, and I know mine. We'll leave it at that.
Yes.
So, are you two gonna be... By the way, I am fully listening, I'm just making notes. You two are gonna be heading to the tavern that the others were heading to then?
I'd say so. We don't know the name yet, though.
Yeah, you don't know the name.
We didn't hear anything, but would we be able to see a lot of people milling about and rushing into the taverns from where we are?
You can, from where you are, you can see like numerous like citizens basically just rushing inside, like wherever they can. From where you are, you can't see the tavern as well.
Oh.
There are like trees in the way and like boardwalks and stuff. Essentially, you do not have line of sight of the tavern, and it's like a good 150, 200 feet away. Like a generous stroll, shall we say?
Yeah.
Is the way up to the tavern the boardwalks? Is there any bridges on the way?
No, you can go. So you can go directly up like most trees. As in, like, you don't have to go like across like the bridges. It's essentially like convenience to go from like one tree to another via like some bridges. But for the most part, it's like if you want to go like up a tree. So like if you go to the tree that the Woozy Moss Tavern is like built around, you would be able to like essentially go like up a ramp, turn around a bit, up like another ramp, and then you'd be on that level. You can go like you can essentially ascend up any tree. They're kind of built that way.
Don't think I'm gonna have Grawl do that. I think I'll go the long way. Would Sir Alan be following in tow?
I will go the long way as well.
Okay. Right, so you're going to be heading on over. So the Woozy Moss Tavern. When you tell Kinla that you're going to be heading to the tavern, he'll say like a couple of tavern names. One of them he says is Woozy Moss. Not that you would know what that is, but he says, I overheard your friends say that they were heading to the closest. That would definitely be Woozy Moss.
Woozy Moss, you say?
Yes.
How would it have gained such a name? I've heard many tavern names, but that one stands out.
Woozy Moss, named after the herb, Woozy Moss. Fairly simple.
Makes sense, especially seeing as you're in a forest after all.
So yeah, he will he'll kind of like guide you. He says it's you need to travel south a little bit, and it's in like eastern Tyrasia. So for you, if you're going south, it'd be like slightly to the left as well. And it's like he's like I'd say he kind of like he'll kind of like direct you. He's still gonna follow you, but he's gonna like direct you where you need to walk because you're gonna be leading. He's not gonna walk ahead and expect you to follow, so he can keep an eye on you. But he's like, yeah, just make a left here and then take this ramp up, to the artisans district. And like as Graal like kind of places his feet on like the first like bits of the ramp, you do hear like creaking.
I do not like these walkways, Sir Alan.
It's definitely
Just go slowly.
it's definitely not like bowing, but it's definitely like when like the Ever and the Zephyr, or at least the Zephyr Chlora, wander up like the ramps, that you can just hear like the plonking of the wood. But when Graal like steps on it, you definitely hear like.
Don't like that.
You definitely can't hear like splintering, but you can definitely hear like it's feeling it now, Mr. Krabs, put it that way.
Sir Alan, I think I may need to watch my figure.
So I will say like the Dendra can go up. Like there's enough space for the Dendra to go up, but you probably would have to like hunch over quite a bit if you wanted to go up as well.
I will try.
You'll try? Okay. So, it's not as creaky when Sir Alan goes up, because he's not nearly as heavy. Are you going to be walking, like, together? Or are you going to be, like, kind of taking it in turns?
Along behind.
Let's
so we're
keep
not
some
doubled
space.
up on the
Okay.
way.
Okay.
So, Sir Alan, how does it feel to be around so many of your kin?
I wouldn't know yet. I haven't made any conversation with anyone. I'm sure I'll catch up with them before we leave. Seeing as how we're trapped here, may get the chance sooner than I'd like.
Maybe a good idea. You don't see the many Dendra and Chlora together in large settlements like these.
I wouldn't know. This is the first large settlement outside of the wood that I've been in.
Yeah, so you slowly, make your way up, and Kinlar keeps guiding you. It's like, okay, take a left here, around this building, and then you go up the next ramp onto the second floor, which is the entertainment district. And he points on over and he said, and just ahead is Woozimus.
Thank you, Keenla. You've been of good service to us.
Just doing my duty.
Service.
So, yeah, he's gonna keep shadowing you. Like, if you want to go inside, he will at least stay at the doorway. He's essentially just gonna keep eye contact with you, is all he was instructed to do.
Can I see if the door to the tavern's large enough for me and possibly Sir Alan?
Definitely not Sir Alan. With you, you'd have to duck. But you would definitely get in. But you would, like, height-wise, you would get in. But, like, width-wise, you're fine.
Sir Alan, it seems like I must go in here alone.
I'll stand watch at the door and give me a shout if anything bad happens.
And from inside, you can kind of, like, hear murmuring, like various pitches, murmuring, bit of panic. So there's from inside.
Sounds busy. I'm gonna attempt to go inside, but I would like to not draw as much attention to myself as I can, even though that's very difficult.
Is this gonna be another moment where you like burst open the door and the record scratches?
Can I attempt a stealth roll?
To stealth?
Not stealthing per se, just to not draw attention to myself.
Sure, go for it. Okay. How gracefully you enter this room.
Okay. Jesus. That would be an 8 plus nothing.
Okay, so you're gonna wander in?
Yeah.
Okay, how are you gonna go about opening the doors to start with? Is this gonna be just trying to slowly tip your head in, or just kind of a get it over with, walk in?
Oh.
He's just BRB'd quickly.
I'm gonna hold on to the handle and just slowly make my way in. Not open it with force or anything like that, just...
Okay. Right, so Graal kind of like creaks the door in, and everyone like, there's a few people who are like looking at the door, and they see this like hand kind of creak through, and it's definitely not an Evan hand. As like more of you kind of like creaks in, you definitely have to like dip your head. You're a bit too tall for the door, but you can definitely fit in like widthways. You do quickly realize that you need to open like both doors, so you kind of like push both in, and essentially from the inside it does look like the gates of hell have just opened up and a demon has like torn through their realm, and then upon closer inspection, a few of the Ever inside are more relieved to see it's just a Kragnova. Then the same few quickly realize that you are a Kragnova, so that doesn't make it any better. Not as many heads turn around as you think, but a lot are kind of like very taken aback and like very, very panicky. They're not like outwardly like shouting or anything, but they're definitely like on edge now that you've walked in here.
Is the barkeep at the bar?
You can't see the bar. There are that many people.
Okay.
This place is packed.
I'm gonna make my way inside and talk to people whoever looks the most relieved to see me.
Okay. Of what you described, there aren't any.
Okay.
However, you do notice that somehow you have this natural, almost force field-like effect where when you walk in the room, everyone seems to move away from you. I guess it's some kind of thing people call dread.
Useful in some cases, less so in others. Grell's going to try and speak to the crowd at large. Not yell, but talk to anyone loudly who's nearby.
Okay.
Has anybody seen a Doroshi, Eva, and a Fae come in here?
And you kind of hear like it's like as you talk. I'm assuming you're speaking Evan.
Yeah. Well, I don't speak Evan. They'd understand Fae though, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they you speak in Fae, and they are immediately okay. They're like, we understand you, but that's a very weird voice. And like as you speak, the crowd are kind of like even more paranoid now because of how like guttural you sound. It's kind of like, okay, we understand you, but that's a really creepy voice. And they there's one person, the same person that Ninsala first spoke to, realizes that they have in fact seen this particular couple that you are mentioning, and they kind of like hesitantly raise their hand and said, I saw them speak to the barkeep, if that helps.
Thank you very much. Did you see where they went?
No, I can't see much in here, just like you.
Yeah, very busy. What has happened?
We don't know. We were just told to rush inside. Something about an assassination, a murder?
What? First I've heard of it.
Yeah, and he'll say, yeah, it happened no more than 15, 20 minutes ago, I'd say. Nearer the center of the settlement.
Would explain why we didn't hear anything. Damn tree with 0 ears. I'd like to give an era to them for their troubles.
One era?
Just one. Just for the advice.
Okay, he says, thanks, I guess.
Just doing my part. Thank you very much. Grol's gonna attempt to walk up to the bar and see if there's anything he can see.
Yeah, I mean, like, you walk over in the direction of, like, naturally what you think is going to be the bar's direction, because it's, further away from the door. You wander back, and like I said, everyone kind of like parts back. Like, even though everyone's pretty crammed, everyone is, like, more crammed just to get out of your way, because they don't particularly want to, like, be in your way. You're pretty menacing.
Yeah.
And you see, this is basically, you were doing this at the same time, like, no more than 2 minutes ago. Or, I'd say 5 minutes ago, rather. The barkeeper's kind of, like, just shut the door and come back out. And he kind of shuts the door, turns around and goes, can I help you?
Sorry to spook you. Two of my comrades, apparently were seen, entering here a little while ago. Have you seen?
There's plenty of people in here. Who are you looking for?
They're a little conspicuous. A Fae and, a Doroshi.
Well, a Fae? There's only been one in here today. But they don't seem very, awake.
What? They're asleep?
Well, as far as I'm aware, yes.
Not
Why?
surprising for Gil, but were they in a hurry?
Well, he certainly wasn't. The lady with him, yes.
How would I find them? May I see them?
Oh, well, I just lent them my room. I allowed your Doroshi friend, I assume, to lay him down on my bed. Are you with them?
Yes, we're in the same traveling party. We entered here no more than an hour ago.
How peculiar. A Kragnova and a Fae and an Eva.
Should see my friend who's outside.
And what might your friend be?
Very large Cephodendra, bigger than I.
Oh, well, the Cephodendra are quite common here. I'd say you're the... Well, I wouldn't say unwelcome sight, but you're definitely a sight.
Don't see a lot of Kragnova around these parts, it seems. Maybe for the best.
Well, I don't think you'll be able to fit behind the bar, I'm afraid, sir. Would you like me to get the attention of your Doroshi friend?
I would love that, thank you. Her name's Ninsala.
Very well. And he'll, like, wander back, and he kind of, like, knocks on the door and, like, peeps in, and he says, "Excuse me, is your name Ninsala?"
Yes.
You have a very strange visitor.
Oh, the Kragnova.
Oh, okay, so you do actually know each other. Oh,
Yes,
I-
yes, I do.
I'm sorry, I was trying to be as inconspicuous as possible just in case. I assumed you were being hunted.
Oh no. Not by him as far as I know.
Well, okay then, if you are friends, your friend is here. No, he can't come back here, he can't fit. And I don't want to pay for another bar.
Yeah. I go outside
Okay.
to speak with him.
Ninsala! I hear
Oh.
Gil sleeping again.
Well, that's one way to put it. I think he's unconscious, actually.
Unconscious?
He fell, as far as I know. But-
From where?
I don't know, higher up than I was. Higher up than this tavern is, at least.
I would say, just to clarify, you definitely saw him lose consciousness. You didn't see his face, but you did see him lose consciousness because he flew out 10 feet higher than where you are, so in line with the 3rd district. However, he flew out to a place where there was nothing like beneath him. Essentially, he just fell directly to the forest floor. So there was nothing beneath him, but he was level with the 3rd floor. So by the time you wandered around, you essentially saw him lose consciousness, but you don't see why. So you kind of just saw him like almost like his wings just like gave up, and he kind of just like fainted. So you did see where he fell from, but you don't know why. Just to clarify.
Why on earth was he up there?
We heard a scream, like a very distressed girl, like screamed from the top of her lungs, and he went to see what was going on, and then I don't know.
A scream?
Yeah. Would I have seen the assassination as well, or the girl that was shoved down?
No, I think by the time you wandered around, I would say she would have already hit the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, as she hit the floor, that's what made Gil, like, faint.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't like her being killed, it was kind of like her then being pushed over and then kind of like, okay, she's definitely dead now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kind of made him, like, black out. So by the time you ran around the corner, you would have seen, like, you would have seen and heard, like, a group of people surrounding where she fell, like, shouting out in despair. And then you would have, like, looked over and seen Gil kind of just, like, flop out of the sky.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see the black fog, though. I would have said by the time you got around there, the black fog would have already dissipated. So you didn't see the person who killed them. I think the only person who saw it was Gil.
Yeah, so I have no idea what happened.
We saw a few people milling about outside, but neither I or Sir Alan heard a thing.
Well, neither of you has particularly big ears.
He has none.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think he's, like, injured. Because, like, Fae don't fall that hard, I think. So...
Yeah, he doesn't look particularly, like, scuffed up. Like, he doesn't look bruised or anything. He's just, like, completely limp. Like, when you picked him up, he kind of just, like, he flops. Like, his head is, like, you need to support his head, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If he looks like he's doing okay, maybe would you like to stay here with him? Well, I would like to go investigate this matter.
Well, okay, but try to not pull too much attention to you. Like, you should actually stay inside. And
Unfortunately, Ninsala, I always draw attention to myself.
I know.
Oh, I was meaning to say, I have a gift for you.
A gift?
Do you need more space for your arrows? It seems like you buy a lot.
Yes. I mean, I do have a quiver, but I have nothing to store my crossbow bolts in.
I once got into an altercation with a roaming bandit who dropped this belt pouch. Unfortunately, doesn't really fit around me.
Yeah, it's not Kragnova size. I can see that.
It's one
Seems
size
like it'd be
fits
more.
most.
Most. Seems like it'd be more use to you than I.
Oh yeah, I can definitely make use of this. Thank you.
My pleasure. I'd like to hand Ninsala my belt pouch.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'll just put it aside for now. So I guess I'll just stay here then and watch over Gil.
Try and get our attention if he wakes. You could talk to one of the wardens. I'm sure Keenlar knows most of them. Oh, by the way, have you met Keenlaw? Swell guy.
Kinlar's at the tavern like doors, kind of just leaning against it. He's kind of got like his spear, kind of like wrapped his arm around, and he's kind of just leaning up against the door, and he sees you like point over, and he just goes, and then just carries on like waiting. He's essentially like, and there seems to be like more. There's like a slightly more calm atmosphere because one of the wardens is like inside. Like everyone feels a lot more safe. There's a warden there.
Okay, Fluffy. I'm gonna go tell Sir Alan what has happened, and we shall try and go investigate. You said the scream came from above?
Yeah, it came from above.
It brings woe to me to have to travel up further into these trees,
No.
but...
Please be careful.
Like you're getting further and further away from where you're comfortable, of like several hundred feet below sea level.
Yeah.
You're now like several 10 feet higher than sea level.
Groll would prefer the ground. I'm gonna like wave to Ninsala and take my leave.
Okay.
I'll tell Keenlar that I'm heading back outside.
Okay, so he kind of just nods and waits for you to wander out. And Keenlar kind of like waves to the crowd and says like, "Nothing to worry, he's under my care." And everyone kind of like, not like breathes a sigh of relief, but definitely like breathing easier now. Everyone's slightly less panicked.
Groll slightly scoffs as he walks by and heads outside to talk to Sir Alan. Come on then. Sir Alan, they are in here.
Oh, good. How are they?
Well, fancy you say that. Ninsala, Fluffy's okay, it seems, but Gil is unconscious.
What happened?
Neither of us know, but apparently a blood-curdling scream was heard from above us somewhere.
When?
And not 20 minutes ago or so. Apparently Gil fell.
Oh.
He
Who
didn't-
screamed? What happened? Do we know anything?
Not as much as anybody else. Ninsala didn't see anything, only heard the scream. And Gil seems fine after his fall. You know, the Fae don't have much body weight to them after all.
Yes, no, he should be all right. Should we investigate? Do you think you're going to be all okay going that high?
It doesn't excite me, good friend, but it seems like it's something that needs to be investigated. Did you see anything while you were waiting outside?
Did I? Will I
Roll for perception.
have? No, I did not.
No, you did not.
What
no,
did he
I
roll?
absolutely did
2.
not. I was hanging out. No, seriously, I just rolled from my last perception check, which was a 2. I just rolled another 2. Solid.
Not the most perceptive tree.
Can't
No.
hear or see, apparently.
Can't hear, can't see. It's just hanging out. I mean, to be fair, I don't have ears or eyes or a mouth to speak of.
Yeah.
Good point.
Sort of
fair.
hanging out.
People who don't know, Sir Alan kind of has hollowed out where eyes would be.
Yeah. I mean, you can see like below. They aren't actually eyes. They're kind of like sunken in like divots. He can see. It's just they see slightly differently.
Eye adjacent. Just not very good at perception, apparently. Yes, no, I didn't see anything. I've just been waiting for you.
I don't have a good feeling about this, Alan. Maybe we should go now.
Time's a wasting. The longer we leave it, the more chance that whatever happened, or if somebody was to blame, they may have gotten away already. We should
Maybe we
investigate.
should walk in a line and carry on the safer paths.
Potentially, if there are safer paths. I'll
Looks like,
give you a wide berth and walk along with Kinlar so that we're not weighing down the same platforms.
I mean,
like Tyrasia wasn't
just-
made for one such as I.
So just so you guys know, Kinlar is only interested in shadowing Graal.
Hmm.
So, like, Sir Alan, you can do whatever the hell you want. He does not care what you do.
I'm not
He's
hanging
been
out with
instructed
Kinlar.
to shadow Graal. So if, for example, you did want to split up for whatever reason, you're allowed to. He doesn't care what you do.
You're hanging out with Keenlaw. Damn.
I'm hanging out with Kinlar.
Don't be a stick in the mud, bitch. I'd say we wander up there.
Yeah, you wander out there. I will wander along with Kinlar, shadowing you.
So you're gonna be wandering up like, you're gonna be wandering up on the eastern side up to what floor?
It'd be the third above us, right?
The third is above you. Yeah. Like if
Okay.
I mean you can ask Keenla.
Keenlaw, did you hear any scream? It seems like everyone heard a scream but me and Sir Alan.
I did hear something. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I can only assume it was something to do with the Blackened Eye, whoever they are.
The Blackened Eye?
Have you
We've suffered
run into them before?
We've suffered from 2 assassinations over the last couple of days, and supposedly a third today.
Is there any word of where this murder
Oh, rather,
took place?
sorry. He says 3 over the last 3 days, like including today, and then he says and supposedly a 4th, rather. Sorry.
Okay. We've had a run-in with the Blackened Eye twice now, it seems.
Do
Really?
you know where they come from? Have you any leads?
No. They showed up 2 days ago. And as far as I've seen, it's just the same thing each time. The Blackened Eye is watching, followed by killing the poor soul. No bargaining, no questioning, nothing. They merely exclaim what it is they have to say, and then carry out the act anyway.
Do they disappear into, it seems like, vanishing out of nowhere?
Supposedly, yes.
We saw something happen of the, blood magic, it seems, according to our friend Gil.
Blood magic. Interesting.
Ill omens.
Definitely. Blood magic is definitely an ill omen. Murder is much more serious.
Yes, sorry. Slipped my mind for a second. Did you hear where the most recent murder came from?
Well,
Or took place, rather.
earlier today, before you interesting bunch showed up, it was in the south, but apparently they have upped their game and are now not sticking to the 1 assassination a day pattern. Interesting that this happened when you showed up.
It was nothing to do with us, good sir. You can take me at my word, but I doubt you shall trust me.
As I said, I'm not like my captain. However, I just find it interesting is all. You say that you have experienced these figures before. Where? Where are you from?
Well, as you may guess, I am from Tarkus. Sir Alan... somewhat
Tarkus?
completely different. Yes, Tarkus, in the sea to the south.
Yeah, just so you know, that would be to the east.
Southeast, right? Oh yeah, it is to the east. You're right, to the east.
Yeah, it would basically be to the east, where you're referring to. He doesn't know what Tarkus is.
Yeah.
But he says, well, I gathered you were from the ocean. I meant more so, why are you on land, seaman?
It's a very long story. I am... Keenlaw, I usually don't divulge this attention, but I've had a lot of bad people say a lot of bad things to me in my time, and you seem to be more trusting of me. I'm looking for somebody.
Interesting. Well, I won't pry. But where have you come from? Where has your party come from, so to
We
speak?
marched up from Elenil this afternoon. We spent the night
Elenil,
there last
interesting.
night. We had an encounter with this blackened eye cult, I assume, the day before yesterday, and then again in the middle of the day yesterday.
Wait, you mean to tell me that Elenil is also suffering?
It would appear so.
Twice in the span of a day.
And he kind of like, his face kind of like sinks, and he goes like a bit more pale. And he says, I need to speak to the High Warden about this. Preferably immediately. And he like looks over at Sir Alan and says, "You're free to do as you wish, but I'm afraid Graal Crover?"
Yes, you may call me Graal.
Graal it is. Graal, I'm gonna have to... I don't know how he'd word this.
Insist that I come with him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll say, I'm going to need to insist that you come with me. We need to discuss this with the High Warden at the Warden's Enclave.
Graal sighs. Sir Alan, seems like you may need to go on without me.
Mm-hmm.
No need, friend. If we're going to speak to the High Warden about these occurrences, I am an eyewitness to both of the Elenil incidents. I will come with you.
True, I missed the first one due to... need. Okay, thank you. Maybe we'll hear more of this murder.
Out of character, didn't you miss both of them? Because on the second one you were swimming.
Did I miss both of them? I saw
No, you missed both of them.
You
I
missed
did
both.
miss both of them. You're
You're
right.
not an
Okay.
eyewitness to either of these.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yes, I'm eyewitness to both. I come with you.
So we'll follow Keenlaw down to the High Warden. I assume she's down at the bottom.
Yeah, she's kind of patrolling. She's like, as you get down to like the bottom level, the forest floor, you notice that she's kind of like branching off like the large crowd. There's a load of wardens kind of like shooing people away from the body that fell. You can't see the body, but you can see this crowd kind of pushing people away, saying like, please, go back to your homes. We will take care of this. You are safe. And, they're trying to defuse this situation, and you can see the High Warden is kind of like very briskly strutting back to the Warden's Enclave, which is western Tyrasia. So essentially, like, you're in the east, which is on the right, and you need to go to the west. You can see her in the distance, but she's like fairly far ahead of you, probably out of hearing range.
I'd assume we're moving at a brisk pace towards her.
Yeah. By the time you like get to her though, she's talking to one of the wardens at like the gate of the Enclave. And as you arrive, like within about like 15 feet or so, we move back over to Gillen Ninsala, and I need you all to mute. So Ninzala's kind of like perched up, or rather, what's Ninzala doing currently? Ikuni, you can speak.
Probably just sitting on the side of the bed.
Okay.
Watching Gil.
And like as far as you can see, like externally, Gil, you can see him lightly breathing, and that's it. He's still like completely limp. He's not like moving in his sleep at all. He's literally just like very lightly breathing. And now you can mute. Gil, in your mind, you have felt darkness, locked in, trapped. You haven't sensed anything that's happened since you saw this this black fog burst, and you kind of like your vision went blurry and everything went black, and all you can hear are your own thoughts. And suddenly, out of nowhere, you hear a voice.
So this is what has become of you, Gil. A wandering druid in the land of mortals. You cast aside your eternity in paradise for but a cosmic breath in this world. You gave up every perfection you had at your fingertips to fight for these creatures. Others would call you foolish, but not I, dear child. I have watched you closely since you fell from SLI, and I have seen nothing but compassion and humility towards your mortal brethren. I do not dabble with the intricacies of the mortal realm often, my child, but I sense you have greater colors than this lifetime. I cannot give back that which you rightfully robbed of yourself, but I can offer you this. Awaken, dreamer. May the stars guide you.
And you may now unmute, Kian. And like as this happens, Gil kind of like Kian just did, kind of like immediately is thrust out of this like blackness, almost like he was being drowned. And as he awakens, Gil, you are now a Circle of Dreams druid.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed that.
That I had chills.
Very nicely done.
If it wasn't obvious, Isithia, the Queen of the Fae, was speaking to you directly. And just for a little clarification, Air Salai is in fact the name of the Fae realm. So when she said when you fell from Air Salai, that's what she means.
Okay.
So yeah, and Gil, you have absolutely no recollection of anything that has happened in the past hour.
Oh.
Like everything, like you vaguely remember like flying up and for some reason collapsed. You don't remember why.
Okay.
Or it's very, very hazy. You remember doing it, you don't remember why. Like, you remember Fey Warping, and you remember, like, casting Thorn Whip. You don't remember why, though. And also, when you blacken out, obviously, you were essentially, like, in a coma. Like, you have absolutely no recollection of what has happened, like, in this chapter.
Okay.
So, yeah. Over to Ninzala and Gil.
So as as Gil like shoots up out of this sleep and in this gasp, his wings like flip upwards, almost as if he's trying to catch himself from falling.
Yeah.
And he braces himself on the bed and just stares wide-eyed down at the sheets, almost as if he's still not fully believing that he's not falling still. Sort of gasping for air.
And like, as Gil does this, you know, like the markings on Gil's face, you can see it on stream. As Gil like bursts out of this like mental cage that he was trapped in, the markings like throb this like dim purple, kind of like from like side out, like inside out. So not like the whole lot throbs. It's kind of just like a few times, almost as if like your markings are like illuminating like with lights. And then they kind of like fade back to your regular like inky blue.
Well, Ninsala certainly gets spooked by this like sudden awakening. Oh my god, Gil! Are you okay?
Ninsala?
Yes?
Where are we?
In the tavern where we were headed to.
What happened?
I don't know, but you fainted and fell down to the forest floor, so I went after you to pick you up, to bring you to safety here.
I remember falling, but I don't know why. I felt trapped. I don't know what happened. Did you see anything?
No, I have no idea what happened.
So, just kind of like to expand on this, like what Gil was feeling was kind of like almost like claustrophobia, like he was packed inside a really like small box, like small for even him, and like he was kind of like trying to push out and physically couldn't. And like this entire time he hasn't been like blissfully sleeping. It's literally been like one of the most traumatic experiences that Gil has suffered from, kind of like one of his worst nightmares. And he's been like trying to break out, and it only kind of like, the worry only kind of like faded or started to fade when he heard that voice. So this was like a pretty traumatic thing, and he's kind of like, when he wakes up, he's kind of like in a sweat. So yeah. Just for like some clarity as to what Gil was experiencing during that time.
But Grawl was here, and Salon apparently as well. Like outside, they were looking for you as well. They went
Did
to
they see
investigate.
anything?
No, I have no idea what happened. I just heard you scream, and you went to look for it. I don't know what you saw. I just saw you fall down.
I don't remember what I saw either. I felt so trapped. I couldn't get out. I don't know what to do.
Try. Okay, roll d20.
Natural 1.
Oh my god.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so as like as Ninsala says, like, do you remember what happened? Gil like tries to think really hard, and the only thing he can see is the same experience he just had in the last hour. He sees black. He sees, like, this invisible cage. Like, he can see it. It's hard to describe. Because he can see the cage, but me describing it to you would be like, it's invisible. But somehow he can see it. Almost like glass. And it pushes down on him to the point where it gets really, really small, even for him, and he's kind of, like, panicking. And then this black fog in the darkness. So he's able to see this black on black. And this black fog bursts out and envelops the glass and then throbs this deep, like, indigo purple with, like, lighter, like, reddy purple, like, entrails start to crack into this, like, supposed glass invisible box that he's in. And they kind of, like, crack and burst through. And roll 1d6.
Yeah. Okay. 2.
You take 2 points of psychic damage.
Gil screams almost and kind of stifles it and holds his head in his hand, and you see his fingertips sort of like push into his hair, and he curls up and brings his knees to his chest, sort of in almost like he's crunching into a fetal position.
And like as this happens, the markings on Gil's face throb, like, as one. They throb bright, like a bright indigo. Like, it's a different color, like, because he's currently got, like, inky bluey gray. It's like a deep but very vibrant, like, indigo. Throbs bright, like actually emanating light, and then disappears. And it goes back to the regular, like, inky. Like, as Gil screams out in pain and takes the psychic damage, his markings kind of, like, throb this, like, bright indigo and then fade.
I wanna hug him, like, pull him over to me and, like, just hug him, like, pat his head, like, it's alright. You're safe now.
And he sort of unfurls a little bit as he feels you embrace him, and is almost relaxed and sort of rests his head on Insala.
And, like, as, like, Gil kind of, like, tucks himself in, he's now, like, shaking slightly, as if he was cold. And that's where we're going to take our break.
Oh my gosh.
God damn it.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for part 2 of Chapter 4 of Tales of Tyrasia. We'll see you in just over 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, we are back. So, party. We just left off with Ninsala comforting Gil after yet another traumatic experience. Over to Sir Alan and Growl.
Will we have made it to the High Ward?
Yeah, so this was happening, like, Gil woke up as you were, like, approaching the Warden's Enclave.
So, Kinla, should we knock, or...?
So, yeah, the Enclave is like an area. It's not... The Enclave isn't like a particular building. It's actually like an area of town with like actual walls around. It's like the only one which looks like fairly like fortified in comparison to like how rustic and more on the aesthetically pleasing side. This is more like... These are like stone walls around the Enclave, like cobblestone walls, very thick cobblestone walls, and the like entrance to the Enclave is guarded by just the one guard, or the one warden rather. And as you approach, the warden at the entrance kind of like looks over to like the two of you and then looks at Kinla and kind of just like nods and just allows you to wander through. You saw High Warden Elodie was speaking to this guard and then headed on inside. So she's like in the Enclave now. It's like there's like several buildings and like a larger building, which, I mean, upon first glance, it's by far the biggest building, so it definitely looks like it's the more important building, I would say.
Can I make a perception roll to see if anything stands out in the area?
Sure, go for it.
Sounds like an interesting place. 18. That's a 5, ignore me.
I was going to say, that's a funny-looking 18. You don't notice anything out of the ordinary. You basically just look around and see that there are very like similar buildings. All of the most of these buildings are on the ground floor. These are the only buildings that are actually built on the ground floor, as opposed to the rest of the settlement, which is at least on the first floor. Like there's no buildings outside of the Enclave which are like outside, or there's no buildings on the outside of the Enclave which are on the ground floor. Everything is at least on the first floor. In the Enclave, they are on the ground floor and the first floor. But they're kind of like large, tall buildings as opposed to like an actual first floor that you can like walk between trees. They're kind of just like larger buildings.
I'd say we're probably just gonna... I'll gesture to Keenlaw. So Keenlaw, where would the High Warden be here?
Well, probably in the mess hall. Maybe in her quarters. Not sure. Didn't see where she went.
As is the way of the Kragnova, or me at least. Let's go to the biggest building first.
Right, okay then. Lead the way. And like there are wardens like wandering around like the paths. There are like stone, like cobblestone paths, as opposed to kind of just like dirt paths. They actually have like cobblestone like paths like pressed into the floor. Yeah.
Just out of character question, why are we leading the way? I thought he was the one who was looking for the High Warden. Because he wanted to discuss a thing with her, and we were following him to go and tag along.
I think it's mostly because he still wants. Well, yeah. Okay, I guess. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So he'll say because you're now in the Enclave, he'll say that he'll lead the way because I guess the wardens are going to be on lookout. He'll shout back to the warden at the entrance to the Enclave. Make sure this one doesn't leave. And he'll kind of like look around and be like, okay. And yeah.
Gonna give the gate guard a big thumbs up over my shoulder.
And he'll kind of like look and go and just like slowly nod. And then he'll turn like back around. So Kinla will just say to you two, okay, follow me. We'll head on over to the mess hall.
I'll follow Kinla closely.
Okay. So you two will wander over. Kinla knocks at the door, and you hear murmuring inside. And then someone opens the door and says, "Ah, Kinla. Who's the friend?" And he'll say, "Not a friend. I'm here to see the High Warden." And the other warden replies, "All right, head on through. She's just gone to the back." And I would say this is like this is another like squeeze job for Sir Alan, but Graal, you can definitely fit in. At least the doors are big enough. You probably have to duck under, but
when you say squeeze job, is it gonna break anything if I attempt?
Well, it's definitely tall enough inside. It's more like getting in, because you're more cumbersome due to like all of your extended branches and everything, rather than Graal's dense, like, for lack of a better word, package. He's essentially just one dense object to try and get through the door. You have a lot of like offshoots, shall we say, which might get caught on the door, snap off. You might actually like crack the door or whatever. You can try and get in again. It might be another tavern job, but you can try.
I suggest I talk to Keenlaw for a second.
Sure.
It seems like the good Sir Alan here might have trouble fitting into this place.
Yeah, well, we don't get many or any. Ooh. Well, Greeny's getting police raided.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe we should see if we can get the High Warden out here. Sir Alan has a lot of information pertaining to the Blackened Eye.
Okay. Well, you... And he, like, gestures towards Graal. You're coming in. We'll go get her then.
Outfit.
Yeah, so you can get in. You kind of, like, awkwardly get in, but you can get in. Like, width-wise, it's fine. The doors open up, like, large enough. But you do have to, like, duck down to try and get through the doorway. And you kind of stomp through, and there's, like, a lot of wardens. There's, like, several wardens, like, just around a bench. Like, the main bench in the middle, like, just eating. And they kind of look over, and they're kind of, like... They're like pacing their eyes back between like Kinla and you, and then they kind of like just look back at their food and continue eating. They're kind of like they're more used to strangers showing up, and also they are essentially like, I'm on break. I'm not dealing with this.
Okay.
So yeah, you're gonna head to the back, and there is an officer quarters. There's like an officer hall, and Kinlar like knocks on the door, and after like about 10 seconds, the High Warden opens the door with kind of like she kind of has like a piece of bread in her hand, and like her mouth is like kind of like puffed up because she's like still chewing on like this hunk of bread, and she looks down at Kinlar and then looks up at Graal, and she's like, "What?" And Kinlar looks over to you and then looks back at the High Warden and says, "I'm sorry, my lady. Could we please ask for your presence outside the mess hall?" And she is like kind of like annoyed because she's finally got to like sit down and have a bite to eat. She's really annoyed now, and she's like, she rolls her eyes, like finally swallows, and she's like, shut, and like slams the door, and then like grabs like another like from inside you can hear some rummaging, and then she opens the door again. She's got like 3 rolls in her hand now.
How good do the bread rolls look?
Too good for you. And then she kind of gestures to Kinlar and says like, "Go on then, where am I going?" And he's like, "This way, my lady." And you head on outside with the High Warden. So now there are the 4 of you. And Kinlar says, "We have some more unsettling news, High Warden. These 2 might be able to explain it a bit better." And she kind of like, she like looks over at she looks at Graal again, then looks up at Sir Alan, and then she like looks back at Graal and she's like, "What?"
I wasn't around during most of this. I was taking my daily bath, kind of bad timing. But Sir Alan here, my good friend, has very pertinent information regarding the Blackened Eye.
Okay. My curiosity is piqued. Elaborate, Sir Alan.
Apologies for interrupting you during your evening meal, Captain. I apologize.
And she kind of like tears off another piece of bread with her mouth, kind of like disgruntled. And she's just like nodding as if to say like, "Come on, let's hear it."
I'm afraid I bring grave tidings. Eleanor has suffered from much the same attacks that you've had here. We saw 2 in the space of a day.
And like as she's like chewing on the bread, she kind of goes like, "What? What did you say?"
I'm afraid you heard me correctly. Eleanor, we came from there yesterday. We've marched to your settlement. And as we left, not long before we left, there was an attack. Well, an attempted attack, or what seemed to be an attempted attack.
What do you mean, what seems to be an attempt? Make up your mind. What happened?
Well, so from the beginning, we arrived. When we arrived, we made lodgings in the inn, and we heard a scream, much like the scream that your townsfolk have described today. And there were some wild, seemingly driven to frenzy, shadow fangs. And there was a battle. One of the guards of the town died. It was very sad.
And she kind of like, she's kind of like more taken aback by that, and she says, "How many shadow fangs were there?"
Too many, High Warden.
What do you mean, too many?
We fought off 3. I went to go and assist the guards, and they were holding off 7 more.
7 more?
They
There's at
seemed
least
organized.
It was dire
And
situation to find ourselves
she
in.
kind of like wanders over to Kinlar, and kind of like whispers. They kind of like have like this muffled talk that you can't really understand, and she just says to herself, Shadowfang don't hunt in packs. They hunt alone. This is worrying. And what did this blackened eye fanatic do? You said you had 2 encounters?
I'm afraid they were both as unsettling as each other. The first night, once we had driven back or killed all the Shadowfang, one emerged from the woods, yelled the blackened eyes watching, and then erupted into black smog.
Mm-hmm.
And when the smog recalled, all of the corpses were gone.
And her eyes kind of light up. And she says, so, this fog doesn't just make whatever these crazed things are, but it can teleport anything inside it.
Seemingly directed by whomever or whatever is controlling these fanatics.
And what of the other that you stumbled across?
Potentially more worrying.
Please elaborate.
Around midday the following day, we were walking through town. Some of my compatriots were shopping for supplies, and we caught sight of another one of these cultists or whatever they are.
Did you say this was
One-
in the day?
Middle of the day, I'm afraid.
Interesting.
Sun was high. This entity, whoever they are, was wandering quite briskly. Didn't really seem aware of any of us. Just staring and walking. And we tried to accost them and stop them. As we tried, they just hissed at us, drew an amethyst-hilted blade, slashed it across their own arm, and then seemed to cut a portal into the air and vanish.
And she kind of like, as you're describing this, you say like about the amethyst blade, and she like raises her eyebrows, and then like cut their arm and like the portal and everything, and she kind of like squints, and she says, "Did you report this to the guards, Ilan Elanil?"
We did.
What did the captain have to say?
The captain, though a good man, I don't think he has much experience with any of these dark arts. He didn't seem to have much in the way of ideas or leads of any kind. We offered help, but we didn't see what more we could do, so we decided to move on in case these attacks were in some way drawn to us.
Well, one thing that we can deduce is it is seemingly not entirely because of you, per se. These attacks have been going on for the last 2 days, and I've never seen you, and I would absolutely remember that face, as she gestures to Graal. I apologize about my previous, how would she describe it? Statements about you and your kin. I have my own reasons to not be as trusting. However, it seems like you yourself, whatever your name is, aren't the cause of this. Kinla, I still wish for you to shadow this Kragnova, but not as closely.
High Warden, I do not wish to pry, but have you ever visited or been near Tarkus?
I'm not going to divulge into my past. You can try and persuade her, though.
I'll give it a go. I'll say, I only wish to ask because it seems like there has been an issue with my... 7.
So she kind of... what was it that you said, sorry? Repeat that.
I said that I didn't want to pry, but it seems like she's had an issue with the Kragnova in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked initially if she'd been near Tarkus.
Yeah, so she just says, it's none of your business.
Acceptable, High Warden. I did not wish to pry.
And, yeah. So she turns to Kinla and says, is that all? And he says, as far as I'm aware, my lady, I thought you should know that we are not the only ones under threat. And she'll say, thank you, Kinla. If that is all for now, I wish to finish my bread undisturbed. And she kind of slams the door behind her. Like, as Kinla kind of, like, goes to, like, open his mouth, there's just, like, a, like, rush of wind in his face. And he says, understandable. And turns to you two and says, well, you cannot linger here. Where do you wish to go?
Look like mighty fine bread, Kinla.
And he says, only the best here in Tyrasia. Fantastic bakery.
I
And
would enjoy to visit at some point.
And we now switch on over to the B-side of this story. Ninsala and Gil. This was all happening basically as Gil is kind of like nestled into Ninsala, like being like cuddled, essentially. Because Gil is essentially like cold, would be the way to describe. Like not like physically cold, but it's as if he's like shivering from the cold. Over to you two.
I ask if Gil is cold because he's shivering.
I don't know. Not really.
Huh. I pull the blanket from the bed like above my shoulders and cover him with it.
Oh.
Bless. So the tavern owner like knocks again and opens up and says, Ninsala, you said your name was. Is everything okay? And he kind of like looks down at Gil and he's like, oh, my friend, you've awoken. Did you sleep well?
I wouldn't call it sleep. I'm sorry. I'm Gil. Who are you?
I actually had this noted down. Let me quickly check. He says, my name is Ulanas. Ulanas, it's Ulenas. My name is Ulanas Vana Osrazad. He says, I saw you were in need of rest, for whatever reason. Please, if you are feeling weak, feel free to stay in here. A creature of your delicate size, I fear may get trampled in the crowd.
I appreciate the concern. I can fly. I don't need to walk. But I'm not sure whether or not I want to rest more. I'm kind of concerned about the rest of our little traveling caravan. I'm not sure where they are. I don't really remember anything though.
I noticed your larger, more cumbersome friend was being escorted by one of the wardens. Do you happen to know why?
Oh, you must mean Grawl. I'd assume it was only because of his menacing appearance.
Menacing is a way to describe it.
The High Warden didn't take too kindly to him.
No, she doesn't take kindly to many things.
I think I remember her assigning a warden to him. My memory's still fuzzy. I've lost some time.
May I ask,
and I don't know why.
What happened?
Your knowledge is as good as mine. I try to recall, and all I see is black fog, and he sort of like winces.
Are you going to try and recall?
Oh yeah.
So you're gonna try and
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Roll a d20.
Fuck!
Did you roll a 2? Or a 3?
I rolled a 3.
You have so many dice in your tray, I don't actually know which one you rolled.
Yeah, sorry, it's this one.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so as this, like... As you, like, try to think... The same, like, immediately... So, you know how, like, when we close our eyes, everything goes, like, kind of black? But it's not really black, it's just us, like, blocking out light. So you still have, like... If you had, like, a torch shining directly at you and you closed your eyes, you would still see, like, a glow. As soon as you close your eyes and try to think, your vision goes dead black, like Vanta black. And you see the same thing again of this glass box closing in on Gil. Almost as if, like, he's still in the box from before. And these tendrils are still here from before. And then you see this, like, brighter, like... this brighter purple tendril splits into like 3 on the end and like cracks through the corner of this box. It's like a regular, imagine it like a cube, and like on one of the corners it kind of like cracks in the 3 faces at the corner and splits through and starts to like push further and further in, and the glass, the supposed glass, starts cracking further and further than the cube. And roll 1d8.
Okay. 5.
You take 5 points of psychic damage.
Oh my fucking god.
No.
And like as Gil does this, all of this happens in like 2 seconds to everyone else, and for Gil this feels like 5 minutes has passed of like him like struggling to breathe in this box, with these like tendrils cracking through, and Gil can hear cracking like glass splintering. And Gil starts to hear this like as like the crack starts splitting, the one of like the tentacle like tendrils recalls out of like where it pushed through, and all Gil can hear is and then Gil like immediately like screams like much louder than before in like agony, and his markings glow like an even brighter indigo than before, like illuminating his face. And you start to see like where your tear ducts are, you start to see in Gil's right eye a black liquid tears down slightly from his eye.
As he screams out in pain, he sort of like clutches onto Ninsala and tries to brace himself.
Oh no.
And like Gil is now like shivering, but like he's now gone beyond like what you would be like on like a cold day in winter. He's now like convulsing and like struggling to breathe. Like someone just punched him in the kidneys, and he's now like
Oh no, yeah.
And like Gil hasn't even noticed this like black tear, and it's like jet black. This black tear is like starting to roll down his face, and he hasn't even noticed it.
I hug him firmly and ask the barkeep if he knows someone like a doctor or someone that could like ease Gil's pain.
Hold on, I'm just checking where this would be. One second. So, Ulanas will just be like, he'll be trying to think of like what to do, because he's like taken aback by this. He's as spooked as Ninsala is by this. Obviously, Gil is spooked. He's the one experiencing it. But Ninsala's kind of like looking down, like watching her new friend like absolutely like audibly traumatized, and Ulanas, the barkeep, is kind of like, this doesn't look like a medicinal job, my lady. I honestly have never seen anything like this before. You may wish to seek possibly help of the divines with this matter. I suggest maybe traveling to Greenroot Temple. It's in the Aspirants district. You may find better luck there, but I think your friend may be in better need than a doctor.
Yeah, I think you're right. Gil, whatever you're doing, stop it. I don't know what's happening, but like, stop, please.
I'm sorry. I like it. That sounded completely reasonable thing to say, but it was just so funny. Your deliverance of "Stop it, get some help." I'm sorry, that made me laugh. Anyway.
Oh no.
Yeah, Gil, please stop hurting yourself. Over to you, Gil.
May I borrow your blanket so I can carry Gil to the temple?
I
I'll
assume
ask
yes.
The barkeep. I mean, it's his blanket.
I don't know if Kian's there or not.
But no, the barkeeper's blanket.
Oh right, sorry. I thought you were talking to Gil, saying like, "Can you?"
I was muted.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I was saying I think she's asking the barkeep.
Oh right, okay, yeah, that's understandable. I thought she was talking to Gil. That's why I was like, "Kian, are you there?" It's fine. So he'll be like, well, yes, I guess so. Would you mind returning it when you're done? I only have the one.
Course,
Sorry.
Oh, wait, hold on. I remember. I have a blanket. My own.
Oh, do you?
Get out
Okay.
my blanket.
Mhm.
I completely forgot. So I get out the blanket and wrap it around Gil and myself, and try to like squeeze out through all these people that are still in the tavern.
Okay.
And maybe asking for directions before I leave to the temple.
Okay. So the Ulanas, he says, sorry, my mind is foggy. I don't often seek refuge in the temple. You'll find it on the 3rd floor, the aspirants district. I believe you'll find it in the southeast. Yes, the southeast.
Okay.
I apologize if I can't give you directions. It's been a while since I've visited Greenroot Temple.
Oh, I'm sure I'll find it. Thank you for your hospitality, good man.
That it's more than I could do for your friend. Please take good care of him.
Of course I will.
And he says blessings of Eliatha on you both. And you said your name was Gil. Please, may Ithana watch over you.
Thank you, and you as well.
And he'll he opens the door for you and kind of like guides you around the bar and kind of like pushes people back to give you like some space as like Ninsala carrying Gil out like swaddled.
Yeah.
And baby. So yeah. He'll kind of open the door and says his blessings and then slowly closes the door. So as you close the door, flipping the track back to the A side, Sir Alan and Graal, you have just said your very hospitable goodbyes to the High Warden. What are your plans?
I think we're going to be getting back to one of the upper levels where we heard the scream apparently came from.
Okay.
When you can go check out the bakery.
Maybe later.
When we left off, you were just like, bread.
I mean, yeah, it looked good.
Well, on the one hand, murder. On the other hand, freshly baked bread.
Hey, it looked good.
I mean, from a Sir Alan point of view, I don't need food. From a me point of view, freshly baked bread sounds pretty fucking good.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Where? How hungry for bread are you? Are we gonna go and investigate murder first?
Well, Sir Alan, that bread looked mighty fine. I feel like the scream might be more important right now. This is a wonderful settlement, though. Maybe there's better than bread here.
Quite possibly.
Maybe we can get some sunlight for you.
Question for
Yep.
the DM. Can we, or anyone, because the guy pushed the body off, the body was mid-fall at the end of last session.
Uh-huh.
Is the body still around? Did the body land?
It did, and there was like a crowd. You can see like a crowd of people like in the distance from where you are, like a good like 100 feet away from where you are. But as far as you're aware, it's just like a crowd of people. Not you can't really discern like why they are there, but the body did fall. As far as the rest of the party is concerned,
Can we see the crowd?
you can see the crowd. Yeah. Are you leaving the enclave? Because from where you are, you can't see like anywhere. You'd have to
I'd say
leave the enclave first.
I'd say we'd go back into the town.
Okay, so you're back onto like the main street, as it were, and you can definitely see that there is like a crowd like 100 feet away, and it's like a fairly sizable crowd, and you can see wardens, because of their spears. You can see the wardens, like behind the crowd and you can hear like shouting.
No discernible words.
You can't hear anything from. I mean, you can try. Roll
Sir
perception if you
Alan.
want.
Sure. I'll try and see if I can hear any words. I'm having bad luck today, but we'll see. That would be a 9.
Yes.
9. You can't make out any words at all. You can just hear shouting.
Sir Alan, it seems relatively uncommon to see so many people out here, seeing as they're meant to be in their homes. Do you think something happened over there?
Well, allegedly there was another murder, so there may be something to do with that.
Can
There
you
are
see
wardens over
anything?
there. There are wardens over there. We should ask them and see if they saw anything.
Of course, from your higher vantage point, you can probably see more than me down here.
So are you going to be wandering over
To the crowd.
to the crowd?
Towards the wardens, before going towards the center of the crowd. Are the wardens sort of on the outskirts? Or...
Well, like, so essentially there's the body of the woman who fell, and then there's like wardens, like 3 wardens surrounding like her, trying to push back the crowd. So if you were to come up to them, you'd have to like go through like some crowd first to be able to speak to any wardens. They're like, to you, they're behind the crowd, but to like the body, they're like trying to push people away from the body.
So we can only see the spears.
You can only see like the spears. Sir Alan can definitely see that they're at least like the helmets of 3 wardens.
How dense is this crowd? If I stand at the back of them, is the line of sight good enough that?
Oh,
I can
there's
just have
not-
a
there's
conversation
like-
over them?
I'd say 20-25 people. It's not like that many, but there's a crowd.
Alright. So I could have a conversation over their heads and not have to push through.
Yes.
Just have to be a loud one.
Yeah, you could like shout over them, and yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So you
Okay, cool.
you wander on over there, and the wardens, like one of the wardens is like, not more. There's nothing to see here. Please go back to your homes. This includes you, and points up to Sir Alan. He hasn't really. Well, I mean, he notices like Graal, but he's kind of like you. And he's kind of like looking over the crowd as well, and you can like just see like like the horns of Graal.
I am going to reiterate what the wardens are saying. I'm going to attempt to intimidate the crowd into returning to their homes.
You're going to try and intimidate the crowd. Okay.
In order to get them to leave.
Sure. Okay, go for it.
It's happening.
The crowd and start yelling at the townsfolk and being intimidating. That's gonna go wrong.
Roll 2d20.
I'm gonna preface this by saying, you heard the wardens. Return to your homes. So I roll this twice. That's an 11. And that is a 3, so that will be an 11.
With
Okay.
No.
charisma.
Plus your bonus.
Plus your charisma bonus.
14.
Plus whatever. So it's plus 3 total?
Yeah.
14, okay. So, some of the crowd, turn around and they scream. Not, at the top of their lungs, like a little girl. But they kind of, they're shouting out more in horror rather than, wanting to see what's going on. And, about half of the crowd, disperse and, run off. So there's, a lot less crowd now.
I'll take that as a win, Sir Alan.
Please try not to antagonize the townsfolk.
I exist. I antagonize the townsfolk.
I exist only to antagonize.
I antagonize, therefore I am.
I am, therefore I antagonize. So we have a gap to get in there now.
A little bit.
I mean, yeah, it's more the more immediate denizens are still I'd say there's an inner ring and an outer ring. You kind of scared off the outer ring, but they're still surrounded, but a lot less people. There's probably 10 people now, and a lot less noise for you to talk over.
Good wardens, what happened here?
Did you not see? How could you not have seen this?
We were otherwise indisposed.
Another attack by these freakish cultists. The Blackened Eye.
Who was the victim?
And he turns around and says, "We have not been able to discern who it was yet, unfortunately. We need to check records."
Girl speaks to Sir Alan. Victim? What can you see that I cannot?
There is a body.
Body? Dead?
I'm afraid so. May I? And Sir Alan gestures towards the body past the wardens.
Roll for persuasion.
That will be a 20, not natural.
Okay.
No, hang on, I'm proficient in that. That will be a 22.
Okay. So he kind of looks up and says, "Very well, you have 1 minute." And he looks down and shouts to the crowd, "Move aside, please. Please get to your homes." And they kind of they shuffle a bit to the side, and they're still ignorant towards it. They're still trying to look over to work out who it is. But yeah, so you can walk up to the body.
Sir Alan squats down next to the body, and I would like to roll a medicine to see if I can identify the cause of death.
Go for it. Okay.
Or look for any sort of contusions or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That
19.
That is a 23 with my medicine proficiency.
Okay. So basically, you kind of you touch the body to roll her over slightly, and the guards, the wardens kind of look over, and they're kind of uneasy about you touching her because they kind of don't really want I mean, they don't really have like fingerprints, or like fingerprint scanner, for example, but they don't really want you to tamper with her. But at the same time, you like persuaded them so well, they think that you might be able to help them out, especially considering Growl did such a good job at chewing half the crowd. Yeah, so you scour over the body. By the way, Greenie, in answer to your question, the bonus that you have includes your bonus.
Oh, it's the number after the thing already includes it.
It's already included in the calculation.
Okay,
so you know.
Thank you.
Whatever it says is what you add. That's it. Yeah. So you roll her over, and you can see there's like a clear cut like across her throat. It's very obvious that her neck was cut, and like she's like bled out a lot. It also looks like she's broken lots of bones, but that's to be expected because she's clearly fallen from like 40 feet. But you do notice in the blood, you can notice these like purple specks, almost like shards, and they like glisten. Like no one's been able to notice this until now, but you can notice that as you move her, little like indigo like sparkles, almost like glitter, I would say. Not as like, you know, not like glitter glue, for example, not as glittery as that, but like tiny little specks randomly as you move, like as you roll her over, kind of like sparkle like indigo, which is very different to, you know, her red blood.
Yeah. Are they solid objects? Are they big enough, like little crystal fragments, to take one, or are they just like glitter? Just
it's basically just like, it's like discoloration.
Okay.
It's kind of like whatever happened to her, these like flecks of indigo kind of like discolored those tiny bits of her blood.
Would I be able to speak to Sir Alan from where I am?
Yeah, you're like 10 feet away.
Sir Alan.
You'd probably have to shout though, just so you know, because the crowd's still there.
Not quite. Sir Alan, do you remember the thief pickpocket?
Yes.
Can you see any of this poor girl's skin?
I mean,
yeah, she's basically just wearing like a dress. So she's not like flaunting her body, but she's wearing a dress. You can see plenty of her skin, and she just has like rosy like pink skin, although it's now like fading. Now that she's like passed, it's now fading more to like, you know, more stony white. So the warden, you know, like kind of like pats you on the back and says, that'll be all. Thank you. Were you able to discern anything?
thank you for the time, Warden. Yes, I was. It seems that whatever killed this girl seems to have had an effect on her blood. There are strange flecks of purple in her blood.
Very peculiar. Right,
Indeed.
well, we are still waiting on a medical team, which is why we are trying to get rid of this crowd. Thank you, please move on. And,
I would like to attempt to usher the crowd with big, nice, gentle tree dad arm movements.
they're kind of like, so you're like kind of like gently pushing against them, and they're kind of just like, almost you're just like an obstacle, and they're kind of just like still trying to look over, and they're kind of like grabbing your arm, trying to like, you know, push it aside so they can still look. Like, they're not budging.
How many are there?
I'd say like roughly 10, maybe like 10, 12.
How big are they?
Well, they're Ever, mostly. So they're like 5 to 6 feet tall.
Do I have the arm span to try and pick half up in each arm and wander off with them?
1 second. First of all, roll for would it be athletics?
Potentially.
I would say
maybe
athletics.
just-
You tell me. I'll roll what you want me to roll.
Straight strength, maybe?
Yeah, I'll go with just straight strength. I was wondering if it would be like athletics or not, but no, it's not really. Yeah, just go for a strength roll.
That is a nat 1.
Okay, you essentially try to... I don't even need to look what I needed to look up. You essentially, like, push them, and they all kind of, like, in unison kind of just, like, throw your arm off, like you're just being a pest now.
Please, friends, give the wardens some space.
And they're just kind of, like... They are, like, focused on trying to see the body. They're, like... They're just seeing you as, like, another thing that's in the way that they're trying to look around.
Alright, I'm not gonna mute myself. Growl's laughing at Sir Alan.
Damn nat 1s.
Looks like somebody needs to hit the jungle gym.
Fuck off. Like, fuck all the way off for that one.
The jungle gym.
The jungle gym. Nice.
God damn it.
I'm just gonna call you out real
believe
quick
you.
on that one.
I can't
call
believe
out
you.
Real quick. Have you, like, where are you seeing a jungle and how the fuck do you know what a gym is?
I've probably seen a jungle.
I'm just imagining Kragnoffer at the beach, like that fucking really buff
Like
lobster. in
Larry the
SpongeBob.
lobster from SpongeBob.
Just fucking set up a gym at the beach, just like, "Brrr, pumping iron.
He's picking up like barbells with like one arm.
Didn't get a +5 strength for nothing.
Oh my god, what are those arms called that SpongeBob had? The inflatable ones?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's
was it,
basically
like,
what just
muscle-
happened
like
with
muscle something?
Sir Alan.
What?
Menacing size, no strength.
Fuck's sake.
So
Oh, they were
anyway,
called muscle arms.
the inflatable
Alright.
muscle arms. So
Can I attempt to persuade the townsfolk to get to fuck in a nice way rather than intimidating them?
I would say no.
Oh.
No, they're just regarding you as a nuisance now. They don't really care what you have to say.
Can I
Oh.
intimidate them again?
I would say you'd have to convince like the guards to allow you in front, because like the ones at the very front like don't even like realize you're behind them. They're that focused. So what are you gonna say? This isn't a persuasion thing. What are you gonna say to the guards?
Good wardens. You may have seen some of my work from before. Well, as a Kragnova, there's many things that we have inherently. One of them is being slightly terrifying. I think I can probably help you with this issue.
And the warden kind of like looks over at you and just says, "You didn't need to tell me that. I gathered that." And okay, go for it. Go for another intimidation roll.
Grell walks into the center of the circle, drops his shield on the floor, and pulls out his halberd, yells at the top of his lungs, "Did I not say to return to your homes?" Let's have a go. That's a 5, and that's a 16, which plus intimidation mod would be 19.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, like, it goes like it suddenly like from them shouting, it suddenly like stops, and they look over and realize that you're actually there, and they basically all like just scarper.
Grawl looks up at Sir Alan once more. See? Just needs a strong, claw.
So the wardens kind of look at you and like roll their eyes and say, "Thank you. Finally."
My pleasure, good sir. One thing us Kragnova are good at is being inherently scary.
So what do you want with the wardens and the body then? Is there anything else that you like want to discuss with them?
I'd say so now that we have some silence, good warden, did you see possibly where this body fell from?
Yes, I did. She fell from the residential district, from directly above us.
Residential district? Hell of a fall. Did any of you see who did this?
Supposedly a female member of this cult that is plaguing our settlement.
Damn Blackened Hand. Maybe me and you should check out this residential district, Sir Alan.
Maybe. Seems like a good start.
Well,
possibly we'll find some more of this blood, or a trail.
Well, we can't leave the body, I'm afraid. You'll be going alone.
Understandable, wardens. I have one with me anyway.
Please pass on my findings to your medical team.
We shall do. Thank you. Your name?
Sir Alan Thorne, at your service.
Ah, a knight. Blessings be with you.
Blessings of Eliatha be with you.
Blessings.
And he kind of like looks over at Graal and kind of just like nods.
I look over. By the way, you didn't ask Graal Krov Tarkus.
Yes, I didn't ask. And they'll kind of like he kind of like turns back to where he was facing.
Boom. You just got slam dunked.
I kinda did, didn't I?
Absolutely did.
I'd say it's a burn, but they might scare Sir Alan.
Way. Don't burn anything near me.
I'd say we're going to travel up to the residential district.
Okay, so B-side. Over to Ninsala and Gil. Remind me again what you were doing.
I put Gil in my blanket to keep him safe and to carry him to the Green Roots Temple.
Yes.
Temple of Green Roots.
Yeah, it's the Green Root Temple.
Green Root Temple. Yeah.
Okay, so you are going to you're going to make your way on over to the south east. Was it I said? Southeast? I'm pretty sure.
Southeast.
So you're going to make your way up to the aspirants district. As you wander up there, you start to notice there are younger Ever dressed more so in like a uniform. They kind of like you're starting to see that there's like a lot of like younger Ever in what is supposedly their uniform, and there are also many nobles wandering around, much more like elegantly dressed on this floor specifically. There are like others, like a few craftsmen, some merchants, but for the most part, this seems to be a more, for lack of a better word, civilized like district of the settlement. And you slowly make your way up to the southeast of the aspirants district, and meanwhile, hugging like Gil tightly as he's still like Gil's kind of like Gil currently is starting to like he's still like struggling to breathe, and he's still like shivering a lot. And you look down at him, and he doesn't look back at you. He kind of just he's like still like looking at you, and then you start to realize that Gil isn't looking at you. He's kind of looking through you, almost as if he's like lost focus. He like you can see his eyes aren't tracking like any part of you, like any of your skin or armor or anything. You know, kind of like, you know when you're like in a car, you're driving along and you look out the window. Well, hopefully you're not driving and looking out the window.
Yeah.
You're
It's
a
okay, I'm in the
passenger.
passenger seat.
You're a passenger, and you look out the window. You know, there's like a difference between like when you're like looking at something in the distance, and then your eyes kind of like go inwards, and you can see like the glass. It's almost as if like Gil is looking through the glass, but not focusing on anything. It's almost as if you're not there.
But very concerned. I'll hurry up to find the temple.
Mm-hmm. So you promptly arrive at the Greenroot Temple. As far as you can tell, it's definitely the most temple-like structure. It does have like a much more ornate design. It also has much more stonework as well, as opposed to the other buildings. And you do see like emeralds adorning the archway of the temple. It's an open door. Well, there isn't a door really. It's, you know, quote, open door. You can essentially just walk in, and you know, there's like emeralds kind of like adorning the archway that you can wander through. So are you gonna hurry on inside?
Yeah.
So yeah, carry on. Sorry.
I'll just go inside and like find the next like person that looks like she belongs there, or they belong there, and like ask for help.
So one second. Just need to quickly check something. So you wander inside, and you can't see like there. As far as you can see, there's only like one inhabitant in view. As you walk in, there are like some benches. There's no like tables or anything. There's like some benches like around the edges of this kind of like, it's very like dome-like structure, and in the middle is like a fairly large fountain, like again adorned with like these emeralds. It's a stone fountain with like a very large pool around it, and there's like emeralds adorning the edges of the pool, and you can see just a Cephaclora wandering around the far side of the temple.
Okay, I'll approach the Cepha then.
Okay, so she will turn to you. It's this this Cephaclora has like limey yellow like leaves and petals kind of like flowing like out of the top of their head and like down their arms, and they turn around and say, may I help you?
Oh, yes, please. I'm not sure what is happening with my friend here. he fell a fair amount, lost consciousness, and then woke up in pain, and now he's like this, and I extend my arms a bit towards the Zephyr. I don't know what to do.
And
Please, my son, he's very sick.
and she like grabs his like chin and kind of like makes him like look like toward her, and she says, what is your friend's name?
His name is Gil.
Just Gil?
Yeah.
Okay. Gil.
Can I respond?
You are kind of like murmuring. You can respond, but what you say to me won't be what comes out.
Okay.
So, what would you attempt to say? By the way, you can essentially hear. Like, that's what you can hear.
And he'll sort of murmur back. He goes, tendrils, darkness, and I can't get out. And he's, as he says this, just like staring down like through anything that he sees.
Okay. So, she looks like.
There we go.
She's like visually like worried, and she can, as like Gil is speaking, you can see like another black tear, this time from the left eye, like emerging and like trickling like slightly down to like about here on his cheek. And he's like still he's like trying to talk, and it's like what Kian just said then just comes out as a murmur from Gil. So he's kind of like tendrils. God, I have a fly constantly bothering me. It's been annoying me for the past like hour.
Same.
Yeah. So basically, she's not like getting anything out of Gil. She can like vaguely hear like something, and yeah. So she's like she'll like look over at Ninzala and says, and your name?
Ninzala.
Hello, Ninzala. My name is Lorelei Elmhart. I'm not quite sure what is wrong with your friend. I can offer shelter for you now, but I'm not quite sure at first glance what is wrong with him.
Okay. I gladly stay here, and maybe someone else can help. I don't know.
I'm afraid, my dear, I am the only one here at the moment.
Oh.
But please, if you wish to use one of our many seats, please rest your friend.
Okay.
And she'll like follow you on over, and she'll be kind of like almost like caressing Gil's face, trying to like see what's wrong with him. She'll kind of like wipe away this black. You can talk, by the way. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Okay.
I just wanted to ask if Lorelei was a Chlora or a Dendra.
She's a Cephachlora.
Okay.
So she's small. She's like 5 foot, I'd say.
Okay.
So yeah, she's kind of like, she wipes away like this black, and as she wipes it away, she kind of goes, "Ow!" and like wipes at her finger, and she looks on over at Ninsala and says, "I definitely think that you might want to stay here tonight."
Okay.
And as this happens, flick back over to the A side. You are now in the residential district, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Previously on CSI Tyrasia.
CSI Tyrasia. Yeah, that's basically what this episode is.
We've met the pun quota.
Yes. What do you want to do?
We're looking for wherever the murder would have been committed.
Okay, so that was like you have like a rough estimation of where it happened because you can still see the guards like below, and you make your way on over. What are you looking for?
Just generally where it was committed, see if we can see any blood or indications that a murder took place.
Okay, so you wander across the residential district, and you can roughly gauge like where it happened, due to like the guards basically being like below where you are. You managed to walk on over. Make an investigation check.
Ooh, that's a new one. Both of us or just me?
Who wants to make it?
I've rolled a 12. I don't have any mod.
Does Sir Alan also want to?
I will give it the old college try.
Okay.
That is a 2. I will not be investigating.
We all need new dice. We all need to get new.
Yeah, you guys need to fire these dice.
I mean, I had really strong rolls on the persuasion and the medicine for CSI Tyrasia before. Like, this is a reasonable die, but no.
Can I say that my dice is cocked? It's not, but can I?
Sure. So, yeah, you look around and you can't see anything from where you are. You don't notice anything like obvious to the assassination, as far as you can see from where you are.
Can I make a perception check to see if anything's around?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. That's a 16.
So, okay. One thing you do notice is as you walked on over here, the wind is like blowing like against you as you're walking. And as you walked on over here, you feel as if you walked through a lack of smell.
Huh.
As if to say, like, rather than like, for example, like if a gunshot is fired and you smell like gunpowder, you don't see anything, but rather than smelling the, nature as a whole, you almost as if like wander through a pocket of air very temporarily that has absolutely no smell.
Not even just sterile, it's nothing.
It's nothing. Almost as if like it was like in a vacuum. Like that one breath felt alien to you.
Sir Alan, do you smell anything in this spot?
Not a thing. Odd.
This is like a vacuum. I feel like something happened here, but I can't tell you what.
Potentially worth investigating further.
Definitely. This is unnatural, which honestly pertains to the Blackened Eye.
Could well.
Is there any body or anything of note nearby?
There are like, you can see people are still like wandering into their houses. A lot of them have already noticed you and are kind of like suspicious, like looking around, because you're a strange, intimidating creature that's now stood in the spot where a few people saw the murder come from.
Sir,
Yeah, Karen.
Sir Alan, maybe we should ask the locals if they saw what happened, or rather, maybe you should.
We can attempt to make contact and see if anybody saw anything.
Yes, I do not want to intimidate these folks more than I already have. It was a hell of a laugh, though.
It was diverting. If the investigation drives us inside, though, I fear that I won't be able to go in with you.
Understandable. If need be, I will take point.
So we will go towards one of the nearest townfolk.
I'll stay nearby where I was before and watch Sir Alan.
Okay. So Sir Alan's going to head on over and catches an Evan woman who's just about to go into her home, and she feels it's kind of strange that a Cephodendra is this high up in the district. Like, they've been up here before, but it's pretty uncommon because you naturally prefer to be like, rooted in the soil.
Yeah.
You look like you're going to talk to her, so she's immediately like, "Can I help you?"
Good evening. Sorry to disturb you. I hear that there was a murder somewhere around this area. Did you manage to see anything?
I didn't see anything. I just heard it, and I frankly want to get inside fairly promptly.
I don't blame you. That seems safe. What did you hear, may I ask?
All I heard was a scream, and then, well, now that I think about it, I don't remember. I just heard a scream.
When you say you don't remember, did you experience any kind of memory loss, or did you just not manage to catch it?
I'm not sure. I'm going to go inside now. And she kind of opens her door and just shuts it behind without looking at you.
Thank you for your time. He sort of just says at the door that was closed in front of him. I'm gonna turn back to Graal again.
Quickly out of character, I wouldn't know that Gil's lost some of his memory, would I?
No, you haven't even spoken to him since. So
yeah,
I don't think you've even been
seen
near him this entire chapter.
No, I haven't seen him at all.
Yeah, you haven't actually seen him.
Okay.
The only reason I asked if she'd had any sort of memory blanks is because she seemed to stop and seem very confused about the fact that she didn't remember anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. So I have turned back to Graal. No luck,
Alan.
it seems.
Nothing?
Oh, no more than we already had. There was a scream, and nobody seems to have, well, at least for her part, she hasn't seen anything. Very strange, though. She seems to not remember what happened, but not know why she couldn't remember. Odd.
It seems like if people were here during the murder, they must have seen something. Either they've forgotten or choose
made
to stay.
to forget.
Yes.
We've seen these black and eye folk do odd things in the past. I wouldn't venture that affecting people's minds is beyond their capabilities.
Teleportation, blood magic, darkness. It absolutely could have been the black and eye that did something. The pocket of lack of smell, and something's just wrong in the spot.
Wrong is definitely the word I would choose.
Question. Would an Arcana check be of any use? Yeah, was that magical items?
That depends what exactly you want to do with this Arcana check.
Any traces of magic in the area?
Usually with an Arcana check, you would be checking a specific thing, not
Thing or
to
spot.
just look around. Like, if you're looking around for something, that would be perception. But if you found something that you want to do an Arcana check on, that's what you would do it on. But you can't just use you wouldn't be able to use an Arcana check to look around randomly for magic.
Could I do it in the air,
Could-
or?
Yeah.
Can I divine sense to see if there is any source of either strong good or strong evil within 60 feet of us?
Is it a source of it? Just a source? It doesn't have to be like a
Yes.
creature specifically?
Well, the presence of strong evil.
Okay, so it's literally just like
So
to
it's
check if a presence of evil is around.
Yes, within 60 feet of us.
Roll a d20.
Alright. That is a 5.
Okay.
That is if. Because divine sense isn't usually it's not like a perception thing where it's like, okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's
I know.
like, okay, cool.
This was more dictating my answer.
Yeah, okay. We Gucci.
So when you use your divine sense, the only thing you feel is uneasy.
Sir Alan, did you experience anything just now?
Not good. Can't place my branches on it, but something's definitely off here.
Seems so. Shame that no one was here to see it, so to speak.
We should continue with our sweep. Perhaps somebody saw something.
I agree.
So, are you two just going to be wandering around the residential district trying to find like people to talk to?
Yeah, if there's anybody who saw anything.
Okay.
I'm looking for clues.
Yeah.
So
Jinkies.
that's what they're going to do. Flipping to the B side, back to Ninsala and very delirious Gil and Lorelei. Over to you, Ninsala, because I don't think Gil is in a proper frame of mind to give a coherent statement currently.
Yeah. So, Lorelei was taking me to a room, or just to like a
No,
bench?
so there are side rooms, and she'll say like you can stay in, you can stay in one of the side rooms for the night, like when it comes to the night. But she just tells you for now, just stay in the main hall, and try to just remain calm, listen to the soothing tranquility of the fountain. And she says, please let your friend catch his breath. He seems very out of it.
Yeah. How do I do that?
What, to like let him catch his breath?
Yeah, like, should I lay him down?
Yeah, she'll usher you to lay him down like on a bench, just so he can like,
Okay.
free his like airways, because he's been like swaddled and like cuddled up up until now, so she kind of like ushers you to lay him flat on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll do that.
so like as you kind of like lay Gil down, the markings like on his face like very dimly like flicker like indigo and then like stop. And Lorelei just says, that's he's very pretty.
Yeah, the flickering already happened like a few times now.
Oh, is that is that normal?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I just like met him a few days ago. I don't think that's normal, to be honest.
And she's kind of like puzzled because she herself hasn't met many Fae, because she's grown up here. And the Fae are like fairly abundant across like, well, I wouldn't say abundant, but they're mostly abundant in Elador, or they're mostly found in Elador rather. And but Tyrasia doesn't get that many Fae. And like as you're like conversing, you notice Gil is kind of like his eyes are kind of like rolled back and like shaking like side to side. Like it almost looks like he's trying to get comfortable. And you can hear him like deliriously speaking to himself. And his like markings like flicker again, and then you see like a little bit more like aggressively this time. He starts like tearing this like black these like black tears, this time from like both eyes, and like much more like quickly, like actually like, because he's like down, he's currently down like on his back, and they kind of like tear out and then like roll down like the sides of his face, and they're like starting to drip on the bench. Not like you turn just a tap on, but very very slowly you can see like these black tears actually like falling off his cheeks, like tapping on the bench.
Do they do anything to the bench?
No. Not as far as you can see.
I'll take a ration out of my backpack and you try to like make Gil comfortable with my backpack as a pillow, like a corner of it or something.
Okay. So you kind of like prop him up a bit.
Yeah.
And you're gonna like try and give him some food?
Yeah, I don't know if he's even able to eat, but like I'm hungry myself as well.
Are you gonna like talk to him specifically, or are you just like doing this without like physically speaking to him?
I try to talk to him first,
Mm-hmm.
if he's even noticing me.
So, you know, you speak out to like what do you say to Gil?
Just like calling his name, like asking if he hears me.
Do I
So,
hear her?
huh?
Do I hear her?
As far as you're aware, you can just hear.
Gil.
Oh, okay.
So it's like very muffled, and all Gil does is like he kind of like looks over in the direction of Ninsala, but like not at her, kind of like vaguely near her, and is like trying to focus on that spot, even though that's not Ninsala. He's essentially trying to look as close to Ninsala as possible, but he isn't looking at you. Slightly past you to the side, thinking that it's you.
I think I'd actually try to give him some water.
Okay.
From my water skin.
Okay, so yeah. So you get your water skin out and like try and pour a bit of water into like Gil's mouth, and essentially like he doesn't even like attempt to swallow it. It just like hits his mouth, fills up, and kind of just like drools over the side.
Hi,
like-
I'm catatonic.
Yeah, he like doesn't even attempt to swallow the water. He's
Wow.
kind of just like.
That's cute.
Like, I guess there's no point trying to get him to eat something then.
And Lorelei looks like Lorelai's been like pacing around and comes back and notices these black tears, and she says, "As far as my memory is correct about the Fae, I don't think this is I don't think this the black. I do not think that is normal."
Yeah, I agree that that is definitely not normal.
I fear this is a bad omen. Please feel free to bathe your friend in the fountain and attempt to cleanse him. Because this is like a public. It's kind of like how I describe it is kind of like a rather than like a bowl of like holy water that you would like dip a child in to like christen them, for example. It's kind of like that, but like a very large like fountain, which like you are free to come and like bathe and cleanse to rid yourself of sin, I guess. So yeah, she kind of like ushers, because she sees it as like a bad omen. Like black tears is kind of like this is a bad omen. So do you want to like take Gil over to the fountain?
Yeah.
So Ninsala kind of like how would she do it? Like another like fireman carry kind of thing?
Yeah. Also, I'm not sure if I like should leave his clothes on or not.
Just drop me in like wrinkly old baby Voldemort.
Yeah, like so Ninsala's gonna pick up Gil, and are you essentially just gonna drop him in?
No, I like
Or are you gonna
hold him like you would wash a baby.
Oh.
Okay.
Thanks.
I don't want to drown you, okay?
So like as you kind of like, are you gonna like lower him in like with your hands underneath him?
Yeah.
Okay, so like as you do that, you're aware of what happens with the fallen Fae, right? How like they can use water to travel to Air Salai, the Fae realm, but Gil is a fallen Fae and does not possess that capability anymore. And essentially, as you lower Gil into the water, it's almost as if he like dissolves.
What?
Like almost like you're holding sand, and then the sand hits the water, and Gil kind of like floats or like sinks through you and disperses.
What? No! Come back!
And we'll find out what happens in chapter 5.
Fuck
no!
you! Fuck you! I'm kinetic sand. Catatonic kinetic sand.
That gave my hands, my hair stood on end.
Bye,
No.
Gel.
Yeet.
God
Bye.
damn it, Ninsala!
Bye. Into the pool you go. Oh,
Oh my
fuck.
fuck.
Where do you...
Ninsala wouldn't know otherwise.
No, like I was just following directions. Okay.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Mm,
Wow.
that was good shit.
So,
Yeah.
now I can break out a DM roll. How did you find that? Chapter 4, chat and party.
Wildly
God
different.
damn it.
Wildly
That was
different.
good shit.
A
It
side
was-
and B side were quite the difference today, huh?
I
Yeah.
apologize for the lack of participation that Kian got to do.
Oh god, no, it's fine.
I didn't want you to get bored or anything, but yeah, I apologize because
Nope, I've been keeping myself busy by drawing behind my writing today.
Mhm.
And I've got a whole bunch of tendrils, and the black is
Oh.
encroaching in on the text. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not in a dark place. It's okay.
Completely fine.
I
It's
closed
not a
my eyes.
reflection of
Like during that, my eyes were closed, and I was trying to have a mental image of what that would be like.
yeah. So I can kind of show it more more physically now. So essentially, Gil is how he was before, how you were carrying him before, and essentially as he touched the water, he basically he didn't specifically turn into sand, for example. It's just the feeling of holding him and then him kind of passing through your hands felt like sand hitting water.
And for context for anyone on in chat who doesn't quite know how that works, Gil shouldn't be able to do that.
Well, you don't know
That we
where
know
he's
of.
gone.
Yeah,
All I said was he's gone. I didn't
he's
say
just
where.
gone. Oh,
Bye.
bye.
So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Welcome to Tyrasia, where not everything is
There you
fun.
go.
Yeah, no, that was dark. Holy shit, that's awesome. Kian, can you post that in Tyrasia?
Yeah, sure.
That's really cool. People will like that.
Yeah, that's pretty damn cool. Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
post that in the general chat of Tales of Tyrasia. Also, guys, if you haven't joined already, I thoroughly recommend you do so. I will get a link right now. Doop doop doop. Doop doop. If you haven't joined the Tales of Tyrasia Discord server, I thoroughly encourage you to do so. If you are new, if you're joining for the first time, make sure you message myself or one of the party, and we'll tag you as one of the children of Eliatha. If you are not tagged, you will not be able to talk in any channel. So make sure you message one of us if we don't see you. But thoroughly suggest you join because, one, tidbits of lore will be posted in the Lore of Tyrasia channel, and also you can join in with general chat where we talk about stuff about the campaign and just Tyrasia in general. So yeah, party. Do you have anything else to say before we wrap up for today?
Me and Sir Alan need to come up with a team name, methinks.
I mean,
Other than that, no.
Thick and tall.
The
We
thick and
are.
thin of it.
So,
Suicide to Lassie,
Yeah.
Part 2.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that.
Sunglasses.
I thoroughly enjoyed telling you all. I've been excited to get into the meat of this story for a while now. And that's going to be it. So, from all of us, thank you for watching. You're all fantastic. And we will see you next Saturday for Tales of Tyrasia, Chapter 5. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
See you next week.